Hello YouTube, I thought I'd do a quick video on the schematic on that gateway that I had hooked up in the other video. I will post the schematic online. I want to do a video to kind of explain it a little bit. That way people understand it better. Now this is for the baofeng UV5R radios, but you can adapt this. You should be able to adapt this to any other radio as long as you know your pinout of your radio. Like what pin, if you're doing a mobile radio, what pin is the PTT line, what pin is the receive line, but you could adapt this probably to any mobile or handheld radio. Okay, so I want to make sure that is clear. Also too, where it says G, that means ground. And I didn't want to draw all these lines and kind of clutter this up, so I did it that way. So pin 5 is ground. So the connections go from pin 5 to the G's. So like here, it's this part of the jack. Here it's the tip. Here it's this part of the jack. And here it's this part of the jack. Now if you get the jacks that I posted in my other video, if I remember correctly, the longer tab is the ground, and then the shorter tab. There's 3 tabs on those plugs, and I believe the shortest tab that you see here is the tip, and then this long one is this part. You have to check it with an ohmmeter. If you can get an ohmmeter cheap anyways, but double check it with an ohmmeter. You should have continuity. They'll tell you which tab goes to which spot on the plug. Okay. This is obviously the radio plugs up here, and this is the computer plugs down here. Any lines that cross over each other, there's no connection. I don't want people thinking, oh, this blue line touches this green line, I must make a connection there. No. Here it does, because we need these two to hook together. So here it does, but it does not here. When they cross over like that, that's what I mean. When lines cross over each other, there's no connections. So there's a schematic symbol for that, and I didn't want to try to draw all of it up. I'm trying to keep it simple. Same with the grounds. There's a schematic symbol for ground, but I'm just doing it this way. I used just paint. I did try to use some schematic free programs, but by the time you learn how to use them, it's not worth dealing with it. So I just did it this way. Also, too, pin 7 is the RTS, or the transmit, or the PTT line. So if you go to Zello options and you go to radio, this is the transmit, which is, I have it set to be the RTS line, and in my case I needed a low for my radio. Now every radio is different. You'll have to check it, what your radio requires. You can usually check it with an ohmmeter, but yeah, you can usually find that out. The receiver of the radio, I have it set to DSR. I made it a high, so that pin DSR is the receive. That's pin 6. So that's how the radios know what to do, is when pin 6 is high, that means it's in receive mode. When pin 7 is low, that means it's in the transmit mode. Okay? So all we're doing basically is we're taking for the transmit mode, we're taking that particular pin. In this case would be the jack, or if it was a mobile radio, you'd have to use one of on some of the mobile radios. They have the RJ45 connector. You'll have to find out what pin on that is PTT. But in this case, we're just taking that pin. For this radio, it needs to be a low, and low is 0. Remember, digital 5 is high, low is 0. And if you put that low, it turns the radio into transmit mode. And then this wire is actually the microphone feed, the center one right here. And that's going to be the next shortest pin. I think it's over here. There's a tab for it. It's hard to see it, but that's the microphone. And that obviously goes to the headphone out jack on the computer, because that sound feeds the microphone. Okay? Then all these grounds are connected. So that's how the microphone works. On the speaker out, obviously the speaker out's got to feed the mic on the computer. But we need to tie that. In this particular case, the speaker out's like 3 point some volts DC. And we tie that to pin 6 to let the software know that it is a in receive mode. So, and then again, this is how this works. It's pretty simple. That's pretty much about it, really. That's how this works. At the same time, it gets the audio from that pin, so that's how we get the audio feed. It does both. It does the audio feed, and it makes this pin go high. This pin 6, is looking for a voltage. Pin 7 is putting out a voltage. So if that makes sense, pin 6 is looking for one, and pin 7 is putting one out. It sends it out. And that, in this case, it's a low for the transmit on the radio. So that's pretty much it. Now I talked about pull up resistors and pull down resistors, as I mentioned in their video, when using it on the baofeng. And I said when I exit Zello, it gets the pin goes low because Zello's not running. To fix that, and I'm going to try to draw this, so bear with me. I don't know how well this is going to turn out, but we'll try it. Let's see if I can do this. So in that case, if that happens to you, you're going to have to take the PTT line and put a resistor, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try to draw this. Oh gosh, but you'll get the idea. This is a resistor. Okay. And you tie that to there, and then in my case, this would go to 5 volts. Okay. And this would be like a 4.7 or 10K resistor. So what it does is that when it's not left floating, when the Zello software exits, it will automatically put it high, and my radio won't go into transmit mode. And you don't want to just hook 5 volts to that. You always run it through a resistor, a current limiting resistor. You don't want to obviously tie that direct. That's not a good idea. You should go through a resistor, 4.7, 10K. But that's what I would need to do if I want to fix that problem when Zello exits. When I exit Zello, it turns my radio transmit mode. You just tie that to a high. This is obviously plus 5 volt. Okay? So that's how you fix that. Now again, your radio might be different. You'll have to play with it, but it's pretty simple. I mean, that's pretty much about it. There ain't much really else to say. Use good shielded wire. I've explained that in another video. As for the length, obviously you don't want your radio, whether you're using a mobile radio or a handheld. I don't know if you would run it really close to your laptop, so maybe have it a little bit distance, wouldn't hurt. If you if you have the distance and it starts to act goofy or something, that means maybe that the wires are too long and it's picking up interference. So I haven't had that problem, but I haven't really played with this a lot. So keep that in mind. If that ends up being the case, sometimes you can put capacitors on here to help filter out any noise these lines may pick up. You can use a ceramic cap, like a, I don't know, 0.1 microfarad. So I don't have that on mine. I didn't see a problem, but like I said, I gotta play with it more. and then I'll kind of tweak it from there. That's why I say if you're going to do this to a radio, keep in mind you might have to do some tweaking, whether it was with a resistor or a capacitor, depending on what you got to do. So that's pretty much it. I believe I double checked the schematic; it should be correct. So that shouldn't be no issues there. If you have any questions or comments, just post them down below. And please subscribe. And thank you, and have a good day.